All right, so today we're diving deep into the Demigod Files.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know, that collection of Percy Jackson stories that kind of expands on the original series.
It's great, like a little bonus content, right?
Exactly. Extra adventures, background info, all that good stuff.
Like a peek behind the curtain at Camp Half-Blood.
Right. So for this deep dive, we've got 3 short stories to explore, each one with some familiar demigod faces.
Yeah. And some not-so-familiar ones, too.
Should we just jump right in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So first up is Percy Jackson in the Stolen Chariot.
That one is a fun one. It features, Clarice LaRue.
Oh, Clarice.
Yeah, daughter of heirs.
Tough as nails, that one.
Totally. She's in charge of guarding her dad's war chariot, but her immortal half-brothers, Phobos and Deimos, decide to play a little prank on her.
Wait, Phobos and Deimos?
Yeah.
Aren't those like the personifications of fear and panic?
Yep. That's them.
So this is not going to end well, is it?
Well, let's just say they steal the chariot, and Clarice is not happy about it.
Of course not. I wouldn't be either.
So she ends up needing Percy's help to track them down and get the chariot back.
Percy to the rescue again.
Pretty much.
You know what I love about this story? It's that it forces Clarice and Percy to team up.
Right.
And those two are like total opposites.
We've got Clarice, who is, all about brute force.
Yeah, all about action.
And then Percy, who is a little more, strategic.
A little more clever about it, I guess you could say.
Exactly. It's hilarious to see them working together.
It's like clashing swords and witty comebacks all in one.
Oh, for sure. And their search takes them to some pretty strange places, too.
Oh, I bet. Where do they end up?
Well, first, a zoo.
A zoo, okay.
And then Ares' temple.
Ares' temple.
Now, this is not your average temple.
Let me guess. It's not like a peaceful little garden with statues and stuff, is it?
Nope. It's on a decommissioned World War II aircraft carrier.
An aircraft carrier? Seriously?
The Intrepid. It's docked in New York.
A warship as a temple for the god of war. I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think about it.
Right.
So how does this whole chariot chase end?
Well, without their godly powers, Phobos and Deimos are actually pretty weak.
Oh, interesting.
So Clarice and Percy are able to overpower them pretty easily.
Okay.
And get the chariot back. It's a win for Clarice, proves she's a worthy daughter of heirs and all that.
I can see why this is a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Action, humor, and a little bit of character development for Clarice.
Right. We get to see a different side of her.
All right, what's next on our list?
Okay, so next up, we've got Percy Jackson and the Bronze Dragon.
Intriguing.
This one takes us back to Camp Half-Blood. It starts with a friendly game of Capture the Flag.
Capture the flag at Camp Half-Blood. What could possibly go wrong?
Famous last words.
Uh-oh.
So things take a turn when giant ants attack.
Giant ants.
Yeah, and they're after Beckendorf, the son of Hephaestus.
Oh, yeah, of course. The blacksmith god, right?
That's right.
So we've got giant ants
Mm-hmm.
attacking Camp Half-Blood and targeting the son of the blacksmith god.
Yep.
I'm sensing this isn't going to be a typical capture the flag game.
Yeah, it's a bit more intense than usual. So Percy, Annabeth, and Selena Beauregard all jump in to try and rescue Beckendorf.
Makes sense. They always seem to be in the middle of the action.
They quickly realize the only way to save Beckendorf is to reactivate this giant bronze dragon.
Hold on, a bronze dragon. Now that sounds even more terrifying than giant ants.
It's quite a sight, let me tell you. The dragon comes to life, spewing fire everywhere, and it's just chaos.
So we've got giant ants, a fire-breathing dragon,
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of demigods running around.
It's a classic Percy Jackson scenario right now.
Absolutely. But you know what else I love about this story?
What's that?
Even amidst all this craziness with the ants and the dragon,
Yeah.
we see this sweet little moment between Beckendorf and Selena.
Oh.
It's like even during a monster attack, there's always time for a little romance.
Rick Riordan knows how to keep things interesting.
He does. All right, I am officially on the edge of my seat.
Okay.
What's the last story got in store for us?
Okay. Get ready for a trip to the underworld in Percy Jackson and the Sword of Hades.
Ooh, the underworld.
Persephone herself asks Percy, Thalia, and Nico to retrieve a very important item that was stolen.
Stolen from the underworld. Sounds risky.
Very risky.
And what was stolen that has Persephone so worked up?
Well, it's not just any item, it's Hades' new sword.
Hades' sword.
And attached to the sword are the keys to the underworld.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like anyone could just escape with those keys?
That's the problem, yeah.
Stakes are pretty high then.
They are. And to make things even more urgent, Persephone gives them this flower that wilts. as the thief gets closer to escaping.
Okay, so it's like a ticking clock.
Exactly.
Talk about pressure.
Yeah, so they have to find this thief and get the sword back before the flower completely wilts.
So who is this daring thief? I mean, how do you even steal from Hades?
Well, they eventually discover the thief is Ethan Nakamura.
Ethan Nakamura.
I remember him.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a grudge against the gods, right?
You could see that.
Okay, so we've got a stolen sword, a ticking clock, and a rebellious demigod on the loose.
Mm-hmm. But it gets even more complicated.
Of course it does. What happens?
They also run into a titan.
A titan. Even for Percy, that seems a bit out of his league.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
So how do they deal with a titan in the underworld?
Percy, as always, manages to think on his feet and uses the River Leith to his advantage.
The River Leith. The river of forgetfulness.
Yep. He basically manages to erase the Titan's memories, at least temporarily.
Clever move.
It buys him some time.
So they get the sword, they neutralize the titan, but they still have to face Hades and Persephone, right?
That's right.
And I bet that's not a pleasant conversation.
It's pretty tense. What's interesting, though, is that we see Persephone stand up to Hades a little bit. Yeah. Which hints at some cracks in their relationship, you know?
Oh, juicy. It's always interesting to see the gods' relationships. They're just as messy as ours sometimes.
Definitely.
Wow. Each of these stories just keeps getting more intense.
All right.
We started with stolen chariots,
Mm-hmm.
the giant ants,
Yeah.
and now a trip to the underworld.
It's quite the adventure.
All right. I am definitely ready to hear your take on all of this. What have we learned?
Okay, let's dive into the deeper meaning behind these stories.
I'm all ears.
So, at first glance, these stories, they just seem like fun little side adventures, right?
It's kind of like bonus content.
Right, but there's actually a lot more to them when you really start to think about it.
Really?
Yeah, like take that stolen chariot, for example.
Okay.
It's not just a silly prank. It actually hints at the growing tension that's brewing among the gods.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like somebody was trying to stir up trouble.
I mean, those chariot thieves were Clarissa's immortal brothers, right?
Same.
It does seem a little too convenient, like maybe someone put them up to it.
Right, and this whole theme of divine conflict, it kind of escalates throughout the Percy Jackson series.
Oh, totally.
It eventually leads to, that big war with the Titans.
Well, right.
So even in this lighthearted story, you can see Riordan is already planting the seeds for that future turmoil.
He's dropping little clues along the way.
Yeah, foreshadowing the bigger picture.
That's so clever.
I know. It's really cool. What about the bronze dragon story?
The bronze dragon.
Any hidden meanings there, you think?
Well, it definitely reveals a lot about Camp Half-Blood's history and its defenses. I mean, just think about it. A giant bronze dragon that was once, a vital guardian is now just like a capture the flag obstacle.
Exactly.
It's kind of sad, actually.
It is, a little bit.
Makes you wonder what other, powerful artifacts or forgotten defenses might be hidden there at Camp Half-Blood.
Right, like what else is lurking around?
Yeah.
It really gets your imagination going about the camp's, rich and dangerous past.
And don't forget about Beckendorf's role in that story.
Oh, right, Beckendorf.
He's the one who understands how to reactivate the dragon.
That's right, because he's a son of Hephaestus.
Yeah, the god of, blacksmiths and craftsmen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it really showcases his skill with technology, which we know, becomes super important later in the series.
Yeah, he's often the unsung hero in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he's always, working behind the scenes, creating those amazing weapons and gadgets that help Percy and his friends.
Right, he's the brains behind a lot of their success.
Okay, I'm ready to talk about the underworld story.
Okay, the underworld.
That one felt, particularly symbolic to me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Tons of foreshadowing going on.
Totally. So first of all, the fact that Hades' own sword was stolen, that symbolizes a vulnerability. It suggests that even the most powerful gods, they aren't invincible.
And the sword itself, that represents power and control, right? So the fact that it falls into the wrong hands, that's a clear warning of dangers to come.
Exactly. And then there's Ethan Nakamura, the thief.
Oh, right, Ethan.
He's not just some random rebel. He embodies this growing resentment among some of the demigods who feel abandoned by the god.
Right, they feel like they've been forgotten.
Yeah, and his actions foreshadow this potential for betrayal and infighting within the demigod community, which becomes a huge issue later in the books.
Oh, yeah, that's a major theme.
Yeah. It's like Riordan's not just telling a cool story, he's weaving this intricate web of interconnected events and motivations that all have these, major consequences down the line.
It's amazing how much depth he packs into these stories that, like, seem so simple at first.
Right.
It makes you want to go back and reread the whole series and, like, try to pick up on all those little clues.
It's like each story is a piece of this puzzle.
Yeah.
And when you put them all together, you get this incredibly rich and complex picture of the Percy Jackson universe.
You get a big tapestry.
Exactly. So out of all these like hidden gems and connections, what would you say is the most important takeaway?
That's a good question.
What stands out to you?
I think one of the most interesting things is how these stories really highlight the theme of choice and consequence.
Yeah.
Like Clarisse choosing to pursue the Chariot, Beckendorf choosing to awaken the dragon, Percy choosing to face the Titan. Each decision has these ripple effects.
Yes, exactly. It shows that even in a world with gods and monsters, these young demigods, they have agency.
They have power.
Their choices shape their destinies.
And that's a message that resonates with, all of us, I think, regardless of age.
Absolutely.
We may not be facing titans, but we make choices every day that have consequences.
Right, big and small.
It's what makes Rick Riordan such a brilliant storyteller, I think.
I agree.
He entertains us with these fantastical adventures, but he also makes us think about, these bigger life lessons.
He gets you invested in the characters in the world.
Yeah, and that's why the Demigod Files, even though it's like a companion book, it's so valuable, I think. It just enriches our understanding of the characters, the mythology, the driving themes of the series.
It gives you a deeper appreciation for the world.
Oh, and we can't forget about the character interviews.
Oh, yes, the interview.
It's like getting bonus footage, hearing directly from the demigods themselves.
Right, it's like they're breaking the fourth wall.
Exactly. And they give us like a window into their thoughts and feelings, Like, for instance, Percy's interview. It's so revealing.
What does he talk about?
He opens up about, like, the burden of prophecy and his feelings for Annabeth,
Right. It's easy to forget that he's just a teenager dealing with all this incredible pressure and uncertainty.
Yeah, he's still just a kid.
These interviews remind us that he's human, too.
Yeah, totally. And Annabeth's interview is fascinating, too. She talks about, like, her admiration for her mother, Athena.
Right, the goddess of wisdom.
Yeah, but also her struggles with, like, fitting in as a daughter of a wisdom goddess.
Yeah, feeling like she has to live up to those expectations.
Exactly. And then, of course, she talks about her relationship with Luke.
Oh, Luke.
That whole, like, friendship turned rivalry, it's heartbreaking.
It is. It's one of the most tragic parts of the series.
Do we get to hear from any other demigods?
Oh, yeah, we get interviews with Grover, Clarice, even Nico.
Wow.
Each one offers a really unique perspective on their experiences and their roles in the upcoming war.
So it's like we're getting a 360-degree view of the demigod world.
Exactly.
We're understanding their motivations, their relationships on like a deeper level.
It's like assembling a puzzle.
Yeah.
Each interview provides another vital clue that helps us to understand the complex dynamics at play.
Riordan really wants us to be active participants in this world, doesn't he?
He does.
He's inviting us to explore, to think critically, to connect the dots.
And that's what makes the Demigod Files so much more than just a companion book.
It's interactive.
Exactly.
I love that. It's like he's saying, hey, come join me on this journey. Let's uncover the secrets of this world together.
I love that. It's that sense of shared discovery, right?
Yes.
That's what makes the Percy Jackson series so captivating, I think. It's an adventure that we all embark on together, both as readers and as fans of this incredible world.
This has really made me appreciate those extra layers that companion books like this can offer.
Yeah.
They're not just for diehard fans. They add so much depth for anyone who wants to, like, dive a little deeper.
Right. They're like these hidden treasure chests.
Yeah.
Packed with insights and connections that you might never notice on your own.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for this story.
Exactly.
I love it.
The Demigod Files truly unlocks the secrets of the Percy Jackson universe.
Yeah.
And helps us connect with it on a whole new level.
Well said. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
Yeah, it has.
I feel like I have a whole new perspective on the series now.
Yeah.
But wait, you mentioned something about interactive elements earlier.
Oh, right. We haven't even touched on the puzzles and the games and that incredible map of Camp Half-Blood.
Oh man, I totally forgot about those.
I know, right?
They sound like so much fun.
They really are. They transform reading from a passive activity into something that is active and engaging.
Yeah, you're not just like absorbing information, you're playing with it, making it your own.
Exactly.
Can't wait to dive into those.
Yeah.
It's like Riordan is giving us a chance to actually step inside the story.
He is, and by making reading fun and interactive, he's encouraging a lifelong love of learning and exploration.
Yeah.
He's showing us that knowledge can be entertaining.
This has been an amazing journey.
Yeah.
We've explored hidden meanings, we've analyzed characters, and now we get to solve puzzles.
Right. What more could you ask for?
I know. It's the perfect ending.
Well, I think there's one final thought we should leave our listeners with.
Okay.
Something to ponder, as they continue exploring the world of Percy Jackson.
I'm all ears. What's the final nugget of wisdom?
So think about it. The camps, the quests, the gods, the monsters, it all stems from, these ancient myths.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But those myths, they weren't just stories.
Right.
They were attempts to explain the world, to make sense of the unknown.
They were a way for people to grapple with, like big questions about life and death and the forces of nature.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I think Riordan is kind of inviting us to do the same,
Oh, interesting.
To look at the world around us, to ask questions, to search for meaning.
And to create our own story.
Exactly.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
It's a reminder that we're all part of a larger narrative, a story that's still being written.
Yeah.
And we have the power to shape that story with our choices, our actions, and our imaginations.
Beautifully said. So as you close the pages of the Demigod Files and venture back out into the world, remember that the adventure doesn't end there.
Right.
The real quest lies in discovering your own story.
Oh, I like that.
Uncovering the myths and legends that lie hidden within you.
And who knows, maybe you'll even discover your own demigod powers along the way.
Maybe.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
Thank you for joining us, and keep exploring. Okay, so we're back and ready to unlock these interactive elements you mentioned, right?
Yeah. The puzzles and games, and of course that amazing map of Camp Half-Blood.
Oh yeah, the map. I'm ready to test my demigod knowledge.
Ah.
So what kind of puzzles are we talking about here?
Well, there are crossword puzzles, but with a mythological twist.
Okay.
Like testing your knowledge on Greek gods and monsters and heroes.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It's a good way to see how much you've really absorbed from the Percy Jackson world.
I can already picture myself struggling to remember which god is associated with which symbol.
Yeah, it's a good brain workout. And then there are word searches, too.
Oh, word searches. I love those.
You can hunt for names of characters, creatures, even magical items. It's like a treasure hunt through the pages of the book.
Always satisfying to find those hidden words. Okay, but what about the map? I've heard it's pretty special.
The Camp Half-Blood map is, it's really something else.
What makes it so special?
It's so detailed, shows all the cabins, the training grounds, even those secret spots that only campers know about.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
It's like stepping right into the heart of Camp Half-Blood.
I can almost, smell the strawberry fields, hear the clang of swords.
Exactly. But it's not just a pretty picture. It helps you understand the camp's layout, the relationships between the different cabins, and even the strategic importance of certain locations.
Yeah, thinking back to those Capture the Flag games, you can really see how the geography of the camp plays a role in the strategy.
Right. But beyond the strategy and the action, the map reminds us that Camp Half-Blood is more than just a training ground.
Yeah.
It's a home, a community.
A place where demigods find acceptance.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's something that I think is really important to remember.
You're right. It's easy to get caught up in the quests and battles, but at its core, the Percy Jackson series is really about finding your place, finding your people.
Yeah, that sense of belonging.
It's so central to the story.
And that sense of belonging is captured perfectly in the Camp Half-Blood map. It's like a visual representation of the heart and soul of the series.
So if we connect all of this back to the bigger picture, what do these interactive elements add to the experience of the Demigod Files?
Well, I think they really make reading an active experience. You're not just receiving information, you're engaging with it, playing with it, making it your own.
It's like Riordan is saying, hey, come join me in this world. Don't just read about it, experience it.
Exactly. And by making it fun, he's nurturing that love of learning and exploration. He's proving that, knowledge can be entertaining.
And that learning about mythology and history can be just as exciting as any adventure story. He sparked a passion for mythology in so many readers. I know I spent weeks researching Greek gods and monsters after reading the Percy Jackson series.
That's the power of stories, They open up new worlds, they ignite passions.
And Riordan is a master at weaving those worlds and sparking those passions.
It really is.
This deep dive has been so rewarding. We've uncovered hidden meanings, analyzed characters, even solved puzzles.
It's been quite the journey.
As we wrap up our exploration of the Demigod Files, is there, like, one final thought we can leave our listeners with?
I think it's important to remember that everything we've discussed, the camps, the quests, the gods, the monsters, it all stems from those ancient myths.
Right.
But these myths, they weren't just stories. They were ways for people to try to understand the world, to find meaning in the unknown.
Yeah, like to grapple with those big questions. Where do we come from? Why are we here? What happens after we die?
And I think Riordan is, in a way, encouraging us to do the same, to look at the world around us with curiosity, to question, to search for meaning, and to create our own stories.
It's a reminder that we're all part of this larger narrative, a story that's still unfolding.
And our choices, our actions, our imaginations, they all contribute to that story.
So as we close the pages of the Demigod Files
Mm.
and head back out into the world, the adventure doesn't end there.
The real quest is discovering your own story, uncovering the myths and legends that are hidden within you.
Who knows? Maybe we'll even discover our own demigod powers along the way.
This has been an incredible deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and keep exploring.